Hey everybody, Tracy Brown here, your somatic nutrition therapist and attuned eating expert. And I hope you're having a really good day today. It's early morning, not super early, but it feels early for me for some reason in general right now. So you can tell from the tone of my voice, I'm pretty settled right now and just trying to ease into the day. And I do hope, before I get going with today's video, around the messy middle of your intuitive eating journey or recovery work, I do want to make sure, if you haven't watched yesterday's video, I think that will be something you're going to want to watch around identity and around the messy middle. Because at the beginning of recovery or intuitive eating work, we're just trying to wrap our minds around there's sometimes a honeymoon period. We're real excited. I mean, I was like gun-ho. I was like, after I decided I'm going to do this and all the heel dragging to get me there, then I was like, okay, I'm not going back. I'm doing this. And once the newness wears off of whether a new provider, new routine essentially, maybe you're doing a meal plan, maybe you're getting freedom to eat some food you haven't eaten for the first time in a long time. It's kind of fun and it's kind of exciting and you're really hopeful for the future. And what starts to happen, as just with anything that's not quite as new anymore, basically the more you eat, the more you start feeling stuff. And people don't often warn you that the more you eat in a way that honors your needs, of course, if gets you out of like deprivation-driven eating and restricting, and even settling into not eating past fullness, what starts to happen is you feel your signals, not signals of hunger and fullness, but you start to feel your body sensations and you start to feel your emotions, the sensations of the emotions. Sometimes you won't have a name for it. Or sometimes you won't have a location for it. Like I don't have a story connected to why I feel so angry all the time. And so this is where we think, oh, well, things are worse. I don't want to do this. Don't forget it. That's the place where a lot of people turn back. I did. I get it. After probably 9, 10 months, I started to like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. I don't know. And I started tinkering around with restriction again. And, that led actually to another 5 years of struggle because it wasn't like a huge relapse, but it was certainly I'm not going all the way back, but I'm not, I just didn't have the capacity. And unfortunately, the people I was working with weren't experienced enough with eating disorders to know, like, it's not as much about it. The food and the weight are important, but it's not all about that. And I started to become a person who looked kind of normal, whatever that means on the outside, but internally really, really struggling and suffering. That's the messy middle, where if we don't have kind of our stake in the ground about like, here are my good supports, here's what I'm doing this all for, and I know that just one little molecule, one day at a time, I'm going to have to feel and face what I'm feeling and I'm facing, because otherwise, and again, I know that we all have I call it titration. We tiptoe in, we feel some stuff, maybe we pop back out. That's okay. Totally fine. But if we can, we do want to not have a full-on, basically, screw this, I'm out, because there's some stuff you have to redo, which it's hard and it can be painful. So I just want to say that's kind of what it feels like. And what do we do to stick, basically, when we're in this messiness? And I would say, let's say you're doing intuitive eating, but you're having a period where some stuff's going down in your life. Let's say there's a loss, there's a huge transition, your weight changes, and you're just telling yourself that you can't tolerate it. That's when you really need to not make, honestly, decisions and pacts like that I can't do this, I can't possibly weigh this and ever be happy. That's not a decision we need to be making about your future happiness based on the emotion you're feeling right this second. Probably not a good idea. And it's really important for you to be talking to people about that. Like, oh, I feel like this is a place I can be, and I don't want to be here. And remember, have somebody reflect back to you. Well, of course you have choice. To like go back, to stick here, whatever, you totally have a choice. And what do either of those feel like in your body? That's just one example of what do we do on a daily basis to like ground ourselves in our values and ground ourselves in, yeah, this is really painful and what tools can I use? And so, for example, this is a place where I find that, if you've been doing intuitive eating for a while and you're finding yourself like cutting back, and you don't know how to get back to intuitive eating, if you've got a meal plan or you've got some structure, go back to that. If like I assign most of my clients sensory supplements, so things they're doing before, maybe during, and certainly after meals, to help with regulation. People drop off of doing those things, go back to those things. If you are struggling with like, okay, I'm not really, I'm finding myself like really kind of grazing and eating a little bit more past fullness, and I know that I am, and I know why things are difficult. Are we avoiding just like there might be something in my life that needs to change? Is just not working. Clearly, I can grow as much capacity as I want to handle stress. It's just I'm just miserable in this situation. And looking at our ability, if at all, maybe something can't change at this point, or maybe it can, and our willingness around that. So sometimes it's the inner work, sometimes it's the external of being willing to change something or let it go. And just the food and the body image worries are a moot point, but sometimes in our fear of not surrendering to like the truth is what keeps us looping. And so there's so many examples I could give, but the messiness is really about, I'm in it and there's no way to really go but forward. I can go back, but there's not really any way to go forward if I don't want to continue in this looping. And I remember for me, there was some level of like, when I surrendered to that, it was like, okay, I'm just going to have to go one day at a time with some faith that, one, I wasn't born totally this way, and two, I don't think I was designed to always live life this way. And there has to be something better. And so if it's just 1 second or one meal at a time, let me see if I can orient towards the good of this, whatever this is. So I hope this helps. It's not like a good answer. It's not like magic dust, here's your pill, do this and this will be easier. I don't think it's going to necessarily be that way. I mean, some people talk about how could it be easier? Maybe it can be, maybe it can't. I don't know. So for some people, there's certain things they do and decisions they make that does make it easier. For some of us, it's just not like that. So I don't want the, sometimes it's surrender that makes it easier. For me at the beginning, the decision like, I'm gaining weight, that's what's going to happen. I don't have to like it, but that's what's going to happen, really made eating and it made doing some eating challenges, once I made that decision, not so difficult. For some people, it's like, I know clients in larger bodies are like, I've been trying to get thinner and I've been thinner and I was still miserable. And so this fantasy is just that. It's just not going to happen that I'm magically going to be happier, healthier, whatever, doing what I've always done. And I've had clients just burn that bridge. Like, I'm going to learn to be happy right now with this body I have. I'm going to seek out the good in every single day, in the meals, what my body tells me. I'm even going to, like, as radical as this sounds, like, I'm going to see every person that might even criticize me just from a place of like, gosh, that had to be awful as a little one to learn to have prejudice. I mean, I'm not saying that that's easy. I've just seen people do it. To like, I'm burning the bridge to this hatred of fatness. I'm doing it. And sometimes that only comes from, miracles happen. And then sometimes that comes from just a lot of feeling bad and having enough as well, so it happens in different ways. So I just want to let you all know that that's possible. So I've seen people do it. Like, I'm not going to be mad at my body in the size that it's at. I'm not going to do it anymore because it's not truly gotten me anything but minimally distraction and maximally like just taking me out, literally taking me out of my life. and I'm done. So those are the things that we all wrestle with in the messy middle. I hope this video was helpful. I feel like it applies to everybody, whether you identify with an eating disorder, if you identify, like I've never really even dieted. I've just always wanted to be thinner, and I worry about my health, or I just worry about my health, and I am concerned that I don't do the behavior that I think that would help me with that. Well, your messy middle then is going to be, gosh, what am I elevating above maybe that desire? You know, could be your family and people pleasing, could be your job. It could be that you just burn out with all the behaviors that you thought you needed to do to be healthy. And so we need to like give ourselves some space and kind of creative time to see that happen, which will mean giving up something probably in your time, what you think about, what you do. It's just kind of how it is. Sometimes it's not giving up a thing or a person. Sometimes it's just giving up like what you spend your time on in the evening or your lunch break or some time in the morning. And sometimes it's not big and radical. Sometimes it's just like, oh, I like doing this. How come I don't give myself what I want? And recognizing, well, what could that be about? So it's all in the middle. It's all messy. And I don't say there's ever a finish line in terms of like, I mean, I think that people can be fully recovered over their food and weight worries. I just think that we're humans, that we're always changing. And so we're going to have to like use all these skills forever in different periods of our life. So I'm in middle age. My body's different than it was 15 or 20 years ago. Things are different. So I'm adjusting, but using all my tools to, my mind, my emotions, like what I do in my day to help to honor the body I have now. And I'm assuming I'll do the same thing another, 40 years from now. So that's what I mean. There's no finish line. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and please share this video with anybody who you feel would benefit from it in terms of just going day by day. Last little announcement. I mean, we have less than 7 days now before our Attune Eating for Attune Living first kind of group meeting starts next Wednesday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern. I hope you can make it. If you're part of the group, I hope you make it. If you're not and you're interested, I will put a link below of what all the modules, I mean, you can read about what all the modules entail. We have a monthly group meeting. Everybody gets a little say about like what they're struggling with, what they want to celebrate, what they have questions about with the module material, or even if it's not the material, it's just like something they want a little bit of feedback about. So we're going to be doing that next week. I hope you make it if you're interested or if you're part of it already. And I think that's it for now. And again, I want to reiterate what I said at the beginning of this video. Go back and make sure you watch yesterday's video around identity and food and weight, because I think those are some of the issues that happen in the messy middle as well, as you move away from this identity as a dieter, or even if you label yourself as somebody who's out of control and you're berating yourself. There's something that we're getting from that we also need to consider, first naming and deciding the function of it, and then deciding if we have had enough, essentially. So make sure you watch that video that I put out yesterday as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you all really soon. Take care.